And again, you start with this kind of, follow the money, follow the facts narrative. And again, you kind of then briefly go into search engines, technology, history of media being co-opted, and then you kind of finish off with a lot of the key players. Maybe you can talk about, what's actually going on, who's the gentleman in the bow tie, and then also what is Politico saying so far about some of the points you made?
Well, the gentleman in the bow tie is Dr. David Martin, and he's now become a great friend. And I can't say enough about this man. We met simply, I had several people reach out to me, say, you have to interview this guy as part of the next Plandemic. And after we flew him in, sat down and met, I realized that this has to be the spine of the next project, because he had information, I will be very transparent to say that there was a moment when we doubted him, because everything was such a bombshell that he had to share, that there was a moment when, after we did the interview, that we all sat down and we said, I don't know. We need to, before we even start cutting this stuff, we need to really research who this guy is. And we need to look at every claim he made, because these things are, can they be so true? If they are, this is a bombshell. And wouldn't more people be talking about this? I mean, these are public records, and why isn't this on the front page of everything? And so there was a moment, which is a healthy thing to do, that skepticism. We all were skeptic about David Martin, so we put a dozen people on it, and they all came back and said, he's legit. And everything that he said, we cannot find. We find a discrepancy. He said, 99 when the date was 98. Just a little discrepancy in a number here and there. He mispronounced the Global Health Forum or whatever it is, just mispronounced a couple things. But other than that, this is real. And we need to take everything that this man said very seriously. And so we did. And I'm glad that we did. He has proven to be a very humble and well-intended person that simply cares about the state of our country and the state of our world. And to jump to your other question, the structure of the film, and as most documentaries do, they create themselves. Unless you're just set on a particular story and you've storyboarded ahead of time. A lot of documentaries begin with an interview or two, and then they just expand. And that's what happened with this one. Every time we got to a point, we kept asking ourselves, we'd step out and say, if I knew nothing about this, and I was already skeptical, if all I knew about Mikki Willis and Plandemic and Dr. Judy Mikovits is what I've heard from the media and the fact checkers, what would I think about this new claim they're making? And that would drive us then to go, well, then we better find some documentation, and we better highlight it right there in real time. We better expose the fact checkers, because one of the most frustrating things, especially as a researcher and for any truth teller in the world, is when the truth about an organization like Snopes, and then you have people trying to debunk, world-renowned double PhD virologists with these people who are simply running a website and don't live up to any personal morals that you would think would come with somebody who has been given the responsibility and the honor of being the arbiters of truth in the world. You think that they would at least live that way themselves, and the founders of Snopes have done anything but. And so, you have to understand, if they're going to come after my character and Judy's character and your character and everyone else, then it's time that they fill a little bit of their own medicine, and that people start to look at their character. And we all have skeletons. We're not perfect. We all done embarrassing things. And if we want to put a spotlight and a magnifying glass on just those things, well, then any of us can look bad, but who are we now? Because who I was 15 years ago, it's funny because a lot of the media would say former model, and it's like, I modeled for a year and a half at 19 years old, but they choose those labels because it comes with a judgment. How can this person be smart if they're a model? It's that kind of a thing. So they use these smears to just set up the dialogue so that everyone experiences us through the filter of a preconceived judgment. And this kind of psychological manipulation and the way that our language is being weaponized is the thing that became clear. Like, if we don't expose this in part two, all we're going to do is be at the forefront of greater attacks, greater character assassinations, and we need to find a way to overcome this, or at least educate the people to understand that this is what the game they play. You know, like that clip of Nancy Pelosi that we put in the film, where she literally said, you know, on all fairness, she was saying that this is what the Republicans do, but the truth is this is what they all do. You know, she said, we smear someone when we don't like them, and then we merchandise the smear, and then the press writes about it, and then everyone believes it, and we all merchandise it. You know, and it's like, yeah, thank you, Nancy, for sharing such truth, because this is what the people need to know to, at least, at the very least, make an informed decision about the course of their own lives.